Hi Davenport students, welcome back to virtual art class with Miss Smith. I saw some of your drawings of Mr. Bear in his mask and he looked awesome. Thank you so much for your creativity and effort with that. I was really impressed with the designs that you came up with. Speaking of design, this week is all about these really cool designs called Zentangles. I have this book and I love it, so I definitely recommend it if you're ever interested in getting a drawing book. The Joy of Zentangle is wonderful. But basically, a Zentangle is a way of drawing with structured patterns. So I'm sure you've drawn patterns before, whether it's zigzags or crisscross lines or curly cues or polka dots or stripes. There's all kinds of patterns in the world, and of course a pattern is just something that repeats over and over and over again. Like, you could make a pattern out of anything. You could make a pattern out of people, like you could go boy girl boy girl boy girl, or you could make a pattern out of letters and went ABC ABC ABC, and it just keeps going. So one of the best things about drawing Zentangles is it's very intentional. You want to pay attention to every line you make and kind of slow down. And what it does for you, the artist, is it makes you feel really good. So that word Zen means that you're at peace when you're making these. And tangle is the word for the patterns. There's so many cool patterns in here. Let's see. Some of them are inspired by nature, like a shell. Ooh, this one's inspired by a flower, bales of hay, bricks, bubbles. And this book goes step by step and teaches you how to make these patterns. So what I'll do is I'll show you in real life, and I'll make a digital version so that you can follow along with me, because I like drawing on my iPad too. So you're probably wondering what you need to get started with your Zentangles. It's pretty easy and simple as far as materials go, and you could probably do this anywhere. I'm gonna have a couple different sizes of paper here. So this goes to show you can use any kind of paper, any size. Now, one of the things about Zentangles is you usually start with a square. Well, my two papers are rectangles, so what do? How could I turn a square into a rectangle? I mean backwards, rectangle into a square. Well, I could use a ruler and I could draw boxes on there. That would be perfectly fine. Or you could do a folding method. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And again, you can use any size rectangle for this. All right, so to turn a rectangle into a square, all you do is take any corner. It doesn't matter which corner you take, and you fold it in. So I'm going to angle the camera down and show you up close. That's a better camera angle. All right, so I said before, you're gonna take a corner and fold it in. Let's see, it doesn't matter which one. I think I'll fold this one in. So the trick is you wanna fold it down, pull it down, but don't press it yet, because what you need to do is line up your edges. So here I'm going to look down and I'm going to line up that edge there. And I don't just wanna look at the point, I also want to kind of look back to see if that's lined up. And double check all the way across that it's lined up. Then I can start pressing it down, just like that. And what shape does that look like? You got it, it's a triangle. So you're gonna be left with this extra edge here, and that's the part that you're gonna cut off. And hey, you could turn it into something later. So why don't you get a pencil or a marker, really anything, and you're gonna trace the edge of the paper. Okay, I'm gonna come up here And you'll notice that I'm also holding it down. Oh, I messed up there. Hey. Oh my goodness, I messed up twice. Hey, art teachers make mistakes too, right? I just can't give up. It's okay. In fact, they say in the Zentangle book that you can't go wrong. There is no right or wrong. So that's kind of nice, isn't it? All right, so I just did my line here to mark it, and then I'm gonna open it back up. Now this part is a perfect square. So I just gotta get rid of that extra portion here. Scissors is another material that you'll need, unless you just wanna draw a bunch of squares on your paper, which would totally work too. Either way. Okay, and then I'm gonna cut off the edge of my paper. And I could save the extra piece for later, because I can make more Zentangles out of that. Ooh, my scissors. There we go, there we go. Save that for later. Now, look, you have a perfect square. So you can make a square out of anything. Isn't that cool? All right, now, Zentangles are usually pretty small, but it might help you to draw a little bit bigger. So I think this is actually too big. I think I could use this one square and make 4 squares out of it. How would I do that? How could I make 4 equal squares out of this paper? You are so smart. You're right. You fold it again. All right. So this time, instead of going corner down, I'm going to take it side to side. Doesn't matter which side you go. So I'm just taking one side over. Can you see that okay? And then of course you've got to line it up before you press. So you can even get a helper at home if you need help holding it. So I made sure that this whole edge lined up with the bottom edge, then I can press it down. So I just took one whole piece of paper and I folded it into halves. Voila, 2 halves make a whole. See? Math helps us in art. Now I've got 2. I'd actually like to turn this into 4 squares. So turn it one way and fold it again in half the other way. I just did it that way, so now I'm going to do it this way. All right, again, you've got to have good craftsmanship and line up your edges even, Steven. Press down. You can even use something to press down on your edge, like a ruler, a pair of scissors or something, if you want to make an extra crisp fold. Okay, so look, now, can you see it? I have sort of, it looks like a window pane, right? Where you've got 4 sections. So now I'm gonna cut this into 4 equal squares. Time lapse starting now. And voila, I have 4 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's count in Spanish. Ready? Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Very cool. Now you know how to take a rectangular piece of paper and turn it into a square. The other materials that you will need for your Zentangles are either a pencil or a Sharpie. And that's about it. I'm going to use Sharpie, but if you want to use pencil, that's totally fine too. I think it'll be easier for you guys to see with Sharpie. Who's ready to draw their first Zentangle? Me! Yay! Okay, Zentangle number 1 is called the Cheesecloth. Do you guys know what a cheesecloth is? Yeah, it's actually cloth that they would use to wrap pieces of cheese. But the idea is that it's got a very loose weave to the fibers. So when you're drawing, it does not need to be perfectly straight. In fact, you should have a little bit of unevenness with your lines. We're going to draw vertical lines first, and then we'll draw horizontal lines. Let's get started. I'm gonna use my Sharpie. All right, for line number 1, I'm gonna start at the top and I'm gonna go all the way to the bottom. Hopefully you can see this okay. All right, I'm starting at the top. See how my line is not perfectly even? This is a good thing. All right, line number 2. And now I'm going to do time lapse for the rest of my vertical up and down lines. Next, we'll do our horizontal lines. Now, I made a mistake. Look, I accidentally drew on my table. Oh no. I probably should have put a piece of paper underneath next time, right? Okay, so let me find a piece of paper. Should have one around here since it's an art studio. I'm gonna put this underneath. Ah, much better. Always want to protect the furniture, right? What is the opposite of vertical? Yes, so smart. Horizontal. So vertical lines go up and down, and horizontal lines go side to side. So the next stripes will go horizontally across, and same as before, do not worry about making them perfectly straight because that's the whole point. It's supposed to look natural, like woven fabric. Great job on your cheesecloth. I hope you found it relaxing to get into the rhythm of the pattern. Next, Zentangle number 2 is called the Crescent Moon. Crescent Moon. Although it kind of reminds me a little bit of a spider web or maybe a vortex. I think you'll think this one's really cool. All right, I've got my second square here, and you're gonna draw 3 curves on each side. One thing that they recommend when doing Zentangles is to actually turn your paper as you go. So you'll see me do that as well. Doesn't matter which side you start with. You're gonna do 3 curves, so boingy, boingy, boingy. Does not need to be perfect. Start up here at the corner and go curve, curve, curve. See how that has 3 curves? Look, this one's a little bit bigger, that one's a little bit smaller. It's okay. Does not need to be perfectly even. Now I'm gonna turn it once and then do it again. This time on time lapse. Do you see why it's called Crescent Moon? It's got that sort of C shape. You're gonna draw more curves, and these curves are gonna build on top of the curves that you just did. So I'm gonna start same place in the top corner, and then I'm gonna go following along, but then I'm gonna go out a little bit and then back in. Do you see how I started and stopped at the same point, but I just went further out? Yep, that's what you're gonna do each time, all the way around. So, boingy, boingy, boingy. Sound effects help. The next part is just coloring the space in between the lines that you just drew. Now, I think it would look better if you colored within the lines and worked slowly. Because if you go really, really fast like that, it's gonna look super messy and then you won't be able to see your cool design. So if you go slowly, you can control what you're doing. Also, you want to make little marks when you color. Here, I'll show you. Short, little marks, nice and slowly. I like to change direction too, especially when I get near an edge. This is good craftsmanship, and it helps you to really have control over what you're doing. And that's part of the Zentangle process, is going slowly, concentrating, and being mindful. It almost becomes like a meditation. Your mind becomes so focused on what you're doing that you don't worry about all the other stresses going on around you. It's very, very relaxing. I think I'll go to sleep. Just kidding. I'm gonna do a time lapse instead. Doesn't that look cool? It looks kind of 3D, like it's coming at ya. The next step is to kind of follow the curves that you just did, but don't touch this time. So instead of beginning at a corner, you're gonna start just inside a corner, and you're gonna make lines that mirror what you just did, but they don't touch. See how I've left space there? You wanna go nice and slowly. Be mindful of what you're doing. All the way around. You know, right now, I don't know if you can hear this, but my dog, Molly, she's snoring. She's sleeping right next to me. It's making me feel very relaxed. I'm also next to an open window and I can hear the birds chirping. It's really quite lovely. All right, so I just drew another line that mirrored the last one. What do you think I'm gonna do next? I know, you're not mind readers, so I'll tell you. You're gonna keep making these lines that mirror the last line. They don't touch. You're gonna keep making them. They'll go in until you get to the center. Ooh, it's kind of hypnotizing, isn't it? It's like you are getting very sleepy. Or dizzy. The next part is just to simply fill in the space in between every other line. So this is black, and then I want to leave the next one white and then fill this one in black. So it'll go black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white. And I'm gonna do that on time lapse, but even though it looks like I'm moving slow or fast on time lapse, I'm really taking my time. Now I want you to take your time too and enjoy the process. Great job on your Crescent Moon Zentangle. There's one more step. That is to go off the edges with more curves. Like last time, I learned that I need to put something down underneath if I'm gonna go off the edges so that I don't get a bunch of marks all over my furniture. This last step is pretty easy and I think you'll like it. You're just gonna draw a smaller curve inside of each one of these. All the way, and then you'll fill it in black. I think this will make it look like the design will keep going off your page to infinity and beyond. So So you're going to do that on all 4 sides. Great job on your Crescent Moon Zentangle. Zentangle number 3 is called the Paradox. This one looks kind of complicated, but I think we can do it. It's got a lot of straight lines, and the first one starts on the edge and it goes slightly diagonal. So instead of starting at the bottom corner, you want to go a little bit up, and you're going to make a diagonal line that goes just a little bit in, so about the same amount of space up as it is in. So I want to go from about here to about here. So maybe 2, 3 fingers in, 2, 3 fingers in. And then I'm going to make a straight line, or a fairly straight line, connecting those 2 dots. All right. To me, the easiest way to do this is to turn my paper and do the same thing again. So I've already got my 2 fingers up. Now I need to go my 2 fingers in and put a little dot there. And I'm going to go with that same diagonal line, up, 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 and away. What's next? You guessed it, the same thing again, because it's a pattern. So it repeats over and over and over again. I turn it, got my 2 fingers at the bottom, 2 fingers at the top, put a little dot, and draw your diagonal. Okay, and one more turn. Zoop. Oh, I've already got the 2 fingers and the 2 fingers, so I just need to connect them. What shape does that look like? Yep, it's a square-ish. All right, the next pattern that we're gonna do is kind of the same thing, building on what we just did. So instead of going from this corner 2 fingers up, I'm gonna go from this first dot 2 fingers up. And I'm gonna put a dot on the line right there. And then I've got 2 fingers in, and I'm gonna put a dot right there. And then I'm gonna connect them. Okay, and turn. 2 fingers up, put a dot, 2 fingers in, put a dot. Wait, did I do that right? No. See, everybody makes mistakes. I don't think I needed to do that dot. Okay, I'm getting a little confused. Yeah, okay, that's better. Maybe I'll just kind of thicken this line to get rid of that dot. See, I totally didn't mean to do that. But this goes to show everybody makes mistakes, and you can make things look cool and fix them. In fact, now I'm kind of digging these thicker lines. It's a good lesson to turn your mistakes into happy accidents. Okay, so what was I doing? I went 2 fingers up, dot, here, connect, turn it. Oh, okay, I've got my 2 fingers already here. Now I just need to do the 2 fingers here. Okay, I see what I did. Zoop. Turn it. Oh, and then I can just connect these because that 2 fingers is already there. Okay. Cool, it's looking great. Now, I bet I do the same thing again, right? 2 fingers, dot, 2 fingers, dot, connect them. And then turn. Oh, now I've got my 2 fingers there. That's what I made my mistake with last time. I don't have to do that first dot after the original. Now I see why this is called the paradox. It's because it's a little confusing. I bet if I did this more than once, I'd get really good at it. Because let's face it, things are sometimes hard the first time you try them. But if you keep practicing, it gets easier. Oop, and then I just go here. It's looking cool. All right, 2-finger dot, 2-finger dot, connect it. I wonder if eventually I may want to start using just one finger. I'm getting lost. There we go. 2-finger dot. Wait. See? Dot. Oh, okay. Now I see what I'm doing here, I think. This one's tricky. I think this one's the hardest one so far. Okay. Now I think I'm going to switch to one finger. One finger, dot, one finger, dot, dot. Do not feel bad if this is hard, because it's hard to me too. Okay. Dot. Dot. I think I can start to estimate it now without doing my dots. Yep, it's getting easier. Look at that. Now I'm in my pattern. I wonder how far in I can go. To infinity and beyond. Actually, this may be my last one. Wow. That is the paradox. That was tricky. Good luck. If you make a mistake, then you're just like me. And it's totally okay. In fact, I may keep practicing this one. Thanks for bearing with me. I feel like I'm walking up a spiral staircase or something. What does it remind you of? Maybe a seashell or a pine cone? Ooh, I just had an idea. If you wanted to, you could color some of these in black. These are just a basis. You could do all kinds of stuff with them. Get creative. Paradox number 3. Zentangle number 4. I think and hope this one's going to be a little easier than number 3. Zentangle number 4 is called Lollipops. Doesn't that sound delicious? Lollipops, instead of straight lines, have curved lines, and I want you to start in the bottom left corner. So this is the bottom left corner, right? And I know that because when I put my hand down, look, it makes an L for left. Little trick for you. Okay, we're gonna do several curves on the bottom left corner. Let's do a dot about 2 fingers up again. About 2 fingers up here. and maybe 2 fingers here. And then you're going to draw a curve or a rainbow shape to connect them. And it's going to go. Sound effects definitely help. And then you're going to make several more loops inside of that loop. I don't think there's a magic number for the amount of loops you put, so just whatever you have room for. Next, you're going to fill in every other loop in black Sharpie. So I'm going to leave this outer one, well, I could leave it white or black. What do you think? I think I'll go with white for the first one. That means the second loop will be black. Now remember, when you're coloring in, to use good craftsmanship. I'm watching. Just kidding, I'm really not, but imagine that your art teacher is there with you saying, color inside the lines, kids. Oh, I think I've been talking to the camera too much. I miss my students. I miss seeing you in person. How's your school year been off to? Has it been off to a good start? What's your space like at home to work with? Do you have a desk? Do you sit at your bed and do your work? Do you sit on the couch? Or ooh, what about outside? Does anyone like to do their work outside? Now that I think about it, Zentangles would be really nice to do outside. All right, that's my first loop-de-loop lollipop. That's the technical term. You're gonna draw more of these and they're gonna build on top of each other. So the next one I do is just gonna kind of piggyback here on top. And you're gonna do your largest loop first. Kind of reminds me of maybe an ear coming off of this one. Like this is the head and that's the ear. And then you're gonna fill it in. Okay. And then you're gonna do more. Ready? So, this may take a while. I'm going to continue doing my loops and then I'm going to continue filling them in a 1-2-1-2 black white pattern. But I'm going to speed this up in time lapse. Now you are done with Zentangle number 4. That was the lollipop. I think this one looks really, really cool. The hardest part for me was when I got near my edges. I didn't quite know what to do. So I learned that if I just draw stripes going in the same directions all the way around, and then just continue my black-white pattern, that it looked really cool and it looked like the design kept going off the page. But as we learned, Zentangles do not need to be perfect and they all look different. So I think it'll look really cool if we put all 4 tiles together. This was the first one. That was the cheesecloth. Then we did Crescent Moon. Here was Paradox. And then the lollipop. Don't they look cool all together? this is just the beginning. We'll do more Zentangles, and I'll even show you how to apply these patterns into other pieces of artwork. I hope you had fun with the Zentangles and that you relaxed and got into the zone and felt very zen. Thanks for joining in, everybody. Bye.